Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. It's time to bring some new Kingdom Death models to the table. I feel like it's been a while since we had any here, and it's not like there hasn't been a steady stream of new stuff coming out. I kind of feel like I backed off a bit myself just due to the amount of a backlog of Kingdom Death models I still have yet to paint. But also, I kind of feel like there were a bunch of the photo resin 3D printed, stuff that ended up getting redone in plastic, and I'm not a huge fan of double dipping, so I feel like I've been a bit more guarded in my purchases, and with prices being what they are, a little bit more selective, I guess. Considering how many years I've been collecting the stuff and painting them, I feel like I'm entitled to be a bit more picky. But with the newest models, I just couldn't resist. And let's see what we got here. We've got Kale, the roaring harmonica. It's interesting that we see not that many male individual survivors. We've had a few, I have to say. I mean, thinking back on these kind of new boxed ones, kind of specifically named characters, and they usually have like a gold weapon. But this is kind of cool. I don't remember the other boxes having the artwork on there. Obviously, it looks like a major brawler type, which is always my preference for male characters. Well, just characters in general. And then when I saw this, I'm like, well, crap, I have to get that. This is Ruby the Tachyon Nodachi. So immediately I'm thinking, Phoenix armor, especially with the feathers, the Nodachi. But I'll be damned if that ain't some cool looking art. I'm hoping she actually has that face mask. We'll find out soon enough, won't we? So yeah, like I said, I feel like a bunch of the releases lately have been like redoing a bunch of the already released stuff, which is fine because I feel like the photo resin kits are basically kind of like the test run for some stuff. That's alright. Like, why am I going to show it to you in the bag? We don't have like 30,000 sprues to deal with. So, fairly standard. Definitely not too bad by Kingdom Death standards as well. Only two questionable pieces, which I'm assuming are going to go somewhere on his pants. I do appreciate at least just having the textured base included. I'm going to assume there's a lantern on there somewhere. Okay, there we go. You can't have a Kingdom Death model without a lantern. I mean, obviously, come on. But I mean, honestly, it looks pretty straightforward. I mean, he's in a pretty simple pose, so I don't see that posing much of a issue, at least in terms of building him. And as always, I know a lot of people out there are into the gameplay stuff. I have yet to actually use any of my beta cards or bonus insert things. I feel like I rarely play enough as it is. But I do like to hold on to them. Okay, so we know how to get the layered maxilla. How to build the roaring harmonica. The actual roaring harmonica. Yeah, that's actually kind of cool. They can knock down the monster on an encourage roll. And Kale. Very much a very Blanca. I don't know why he makes me think of Blanca. Probably just the long hair, very furry, saber-toothed Marvel Comics character-like. But again, actually getting some more new gentlemen in plastic, no less, for Kingdom Death is always a cool thing. And I get this one open. Let's find out. Alright. With Ruby here. That was her name, right? I've already forgotten. So I always keep all of the... Oh, that's the glint from the sword. I was like, that's a weird printing error. Anyway, I was going to say, I always keep the postcards in front of the painting table so that I've got them handy for further reference. Here's the Tachyon Nodachi card. Interesting. fact that it's stopping time 100% sells me on the idea that it's going to be related to the Phoenix. Yeah, level 3 Phoenix, okay. Not surprised in the least. Let's take a look at her sprue. Feels like there's more stuff included here. Is High Lord Tamberlane capable of opening a Ziploc bag? Film at 11. Alright, what's she got for us to check out? Alright. Big, long, elaborate sword. Face giving me Devil's Crush and Alien Crush pinball vibes. I've been playing that, oh shoot, what was it called? There was one on the Switch that was like a indie game that was totally like Devil Crush pinball game. And just, it's in my brain. Pinball's in my brain right now. Nice details as always. Looking a little bit more complex, I think, only due to the skirt armor and the various little fancy filigree bits that seem to be all over the place with this. But here's what's interesting is, we only have one face. Boo. Or do we? And I just overlooked something. Let's see. Chest. Because it's a Kingdom Death model. Yeah, I guess so. Dang, that's a shame. She looks really cool with the mask on. I mean, it's not a huge deal breaker, but I just find that a little annoying. Not that that's a huge problem. Alright. I'll get over my disappointment quite quickly because originally having seen the completed model, that's what I was interested in anyways. So I will get these figures built. We'll see how they turn out, and hopefully you'll be sticking around. So sit tight. Well, I couldn't sit idly by and have brand spanking new Kingdom Death models sit there unbuilt. So we immediately got to work on them, and here are the results. So you can see there is a slight gap on the side right here of the skirt armor for our mean looking harmonica player. Man, those sideburns are just scream Sabretooth. You can complain about my glue job all you want. I refuse to pay exorbitant prices for those Tamiya little brushes that I can't ever seem to get the bottom third out of the little container when I can still find my good old orange testers tubes. Tried and true. But honestly, no, this guy was totally an easy one. I don't even have him glued to the base. Really solid fit. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Should be pretty fun to paint as well. Our Tachyon Nodachi friend here was a little bit more of a challenge. So the first thing is, I had no idea where her feet go, to the point that I thought I actually put them together wrongly. I thought that part of the sprue was going to be inserted into the shoe. Take a big ol' swig of coffee here. That wasn't the case. I could not figure out how to get them on, so what I did was I finally saw the indentation. You can see the point of her left foot here on the base. So I went ahead, stuck the shoes onto the base, and that let me figure out what direction she was supposed to face, and then we built her up from there. An interesting thing was that there is actually a slotted notch on the inside of the Nodachi that slots into the chest. So even if you don't get the arms perfectly aligned, you do still have a lot of stability, considering all the nice fun dangly bits there, regardless. Painting anything underneath is going to be an absolute challenge. Thankfully, she is wearing pants. That makes our lives a little bit easier in that regard. You can see I have a nice messy glue job here. Once that's fully cured and dried, gonna go back, cut that up. And she is attached to her base. A little bit smaller than Kale, but I feel like Kale is going to be a massive looking figure anyways. Grabbing a few other Kingdom Death models, because that's half the fun of putting these new figures up. We've got 10th anniversary Alistair here. I believe that's Alistair. So it looks to be about right in line with our Ruby, but you can still see that the Harmonica Man is still a bit taller. Going with one of the largest survivors at this moment. The, what, 10th, 15th? Maybe it's the 15th. I don't even know anymore. The anniversary Zachary here on his own custom 32mm base and base lip, lid, whatever they are. You can see, even though he is a bit hunched over when it's in focus, I feel like Kale is going to be our new resident tallest Kingdom Death model. At least without the use of any hats or anything like that. Grabbing a few other random figures. So I feel like the Easter Aya here is a little bit on the older side, but you can see I feel like they're not too far off from each other. The Twilight Lantern Knight being what I feel is one of the tallest of the pinup type models, giving him a good run for his money there. Only armor kit I had handy at the moment was the Death King's armor, and you can still see he's a bit taller than that. Compared to like the Dung Beetle Dancer or the Flower Knight costume. Flower Witch costume, isn't it? You can still see that there is a nice difference in size, and yeah, I painted that thong right up his butt crack. And it was fabulous. I still find this one of my favorite visually interesting models. The artwork was fantastic for her, and I actually got, I think, just about every little detail covered. Sure, there's not a whole lot of depth of shading, but just at least from a tabletop standpoint, it's all taken care of. That was a challenge of a model. Getting one of the OGs on here. I like that old school Zachary barely comes up to Ruby's chest. Where at least one of my favorites, the Black Friday Ninja. Regardless, is still going to be dwarfed by these newer figures. Me personally, considering the size of my Kingdom Death collection, I'm not too sussed if things aren't all in line. I mean, after all, people out there in the day-to-day tend not to be exactly the same size. Got coworkers, and I'm not the tallest dude out there, and I've got coworkers that are substantially shorter than me, and those that I have to look up to that are like 6'8" or something ridiculous. So, yeah, it's not the biggest deal, I feel. But if you wanted to use them in other games, for example, even the Conquest stuff doesn't come as big as some of the modern day Kingdom Death stuff, but I'm okay with that. Big models means big details, which means bigger areas to paint, which means less room to really muck it up and do poorly. So I'll take that as a win, and as always, I'll take cool looking models any old day as a win too. Hopefully we'll continue to see new and exciting releases with Kingdom Death, and hopefully I will get around to actually painting them. So fingers crossed we'll see them back on some random Monday. Do keep your eyes peeled in that regard. So, with that said then, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.